Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Newsroom. I'm your host, Khalid. But today is the 17th of February 2025, and these are the stories that we will be highlighting during the course of the show. 17th of February, 2 days are left before the mega event begins in Pakistan. That's right, the ICC Champions Trophy begins in Pakistan. In fact, it's a major tournament that begins in our country after a lapse of almost 30 years. And of course, the last time the Champions Trophy was also held was in 2017, where Pakistan took the Champions Trophy. Will they be able to defend their title this time? This and more will be asked by my special guests who are here to discuss this very important event that begins in Karachi from the day after tomorrow. And of course, there are different venues in Pakistan, but it also will be played in Dubai. We'll be also deciphering different aspects of the ICC Champions Trophy in the course of our first segment. Our second story concerns climate change and its impact on Pakistan. On the one hand, we have had excessive rains and floods in 2022, but 2025, a lot of people are saying, including the United Nations, could be a year of drought for Pakistan. And that is why a lot of important decisions are being taken on the administrative level in order to curtail the use of water specifically for washing cars and other such purposes. If the people are washing cars, it is being said that that water needs to be recycled. That and more will be discussed as far as climate change, its impact, the increase in temperatures, and what kind of impact is this going to have on Pakistan with the water supply and the agriculture and the crops. Of course, we will be highlighting different aspects as far as climate change is concerned. Then we'll be talking about the US, whose President Donald Trump's aid freeze could cause millions of deaths. This is being said by the United Nations. Why they are saying? Because of the HIV patients, specifically in the millions that are there across the world, and the different programs concerning UN AIDS that are being stalled as we speak. A lot of apprehension is being shown, especially in the African countries, because there the people and the governments are not stable enough in order to provide for the necessary care and the medicine for those who are afflicted with HIV or with AIDS. And a lot of concern is being shown across the world as far as this decision is concerned. Will it be reversed like some other decisions that have been reversed? That only time will tell. This is our third story. Then we are going to talk about the Global Tourism Resilience Day that is being observed today. That's an important aspect because with the Sustainable Development Goals and 2030 approaching very quickly, sustainability when it comes to tourism is extremely important, and therefore the Global Tourism Resilience Day becomes even more paramount in order to ascertain different aspects of tourism and how we can make it more sustainable. Finally, we are going to talk about the BAFTA Awards that were held last night, early this morning. Early this morning in Pakistan time as well. And of course, Conclave was a huge winner, as well as The Brutalist, that were the big winners. A lot of shocks, specifically when it came to the Best Actress, that was won by another actress and not Demi Moore. These are the stories we'll be deciphering. Let's begin with our first story about cricket, the Champions Trophy. And yes, we at our current affairs show also talk about cricket when it's important, has a very national significance to it, and it is because in Pakistan it begins after almost a lapse of 3 decades, and also after 2017 the Champions Trophy is now being revived. And the last time Pakistan were the champions. To discuss more about that, we've been joined by two guests. Let me introduce them to you one by one, and they both are very dear friends. Specifically, my first guest, Leena Moin Aziz, international cricket analyst. Thank you very much, Leena, to have come all the way to the studios, and I'm so happy that you are here to discuss this with me.
Likewise, I'm so happy to be here also.
And my second guest is Ali Mehdi. He is no stranger to sports shows on PTV World, and of course a dear friend as well. Ali, thank you very much to have joined us.
You're welcome.
We'll begin with you, Leena. Leena, they say the ICC Champions Trophy is one of the most challenging tournaments. Pakistan won it last time in 2017. There was a lapse of a couple of years because of certain reasons, which if you want to highlight, I will let you. Pakistan plays New Zealand in the first match of the Group A at the National Stadium in Karachi. How do you see the structure and the format of the ICC Champions Trophy for this very edition? Because it starts after a couple of years' time, so there are a lot of aspirations and questions mark around it. Second, the hybrid model as well, that puts a very different twist to this whole Champions Trophy. What's your take?
I mean, it's a very important tournament, as we all know, because the top 8 teams are participating. It is the creme of cricket. So of course all the eyes are on it, and Pakistan, one of the hosts and defending champions, lots of eyes. Anyway, I mean the eyes are always on Pakistan team, whether we win, lose, do anything. Even if a cricketer drinks water, they'll say, oh, he held the glass like this, should have been held like that. So you know the eyes are always on Pakistan team, and they've done well in recent past, won some important matches abroad also as far as ODI is concerned. And in patches they've done well. There have been captaincy changes, there have been changes at the cricket board, everything. But in spite of that, our cricket does do well every now and then. There is this thing of Pakistan being unpredictable, which I don't like, the tag. I think it's high time they should change it. And this is a home series. I mean home, they're defending champions in Pakistan, most of it. So they should do well, but you can't say because the top 8 teams are here. Every team is so competitive, they're well tuned, they've done well, they're well prepared. So Pakistan's not going to have an easy time, but Pakistan to me it seems that Pakistan is going to be one of the semi-finalists.
Okay.
And from there onwards, there is always lottery, you know, how well you take the pressure, if on the day how well you play, you miss a crucial catch. We're still thinking about the Hassan Ali catch. Everywhere he goes, people talk about it. So, you know, there is all that. And then you talked about the hybrid model. And then, of course, the Pakistani stadiums have been recently renovated. The Pakistan Cricket Board has done really well that aspect. Because
you talk of stadiums. I mean, I know Ali is very impatient, but you talk of stadiums. Are the stadiums ready for the ICC Champions Trophy?
Yeah, I mean, the Lahore Stadium seemed ready. I think the chairman has taken personal interest, and therefore, I think they're ready. If they weren't ready, these matches couldn't have been announced.
And with all the, you know, the eyes, as you said, all eyes are on Pakistan, specifically from the border, across the border, all eyes are specifically on Pakistan when it comes to that.
And then we couldn't have a match day after tomorrow, Pakistan versus New Zealand in Karachi. So I'm sure it's ready. But then we will be able to comment on it fairly once a few matches are done, and what the media says, you know, how ready it was, or how well how well the whole thing was done. And the second thing you talk about, the hybrid model, that's a very important thing. Now, you know, I feel that, you know, India should have just come and played here. Their stars their thirst hasn't been quenched to play in Pakistan, say Virat Kohli or Rohit Sharma. These chaps haven't played in Pakistan. I mean, they're towards the end of their career, and their stars, mega stars, they haven't played in Pakistan. We all know their desire is to play in Pakistan. But I mean, under this government, they probably will never play in Pakistan. Once the government changes, it's a different set of people. Then maybe, you know, ice will melt and they will be able to play in Pakistan. So the hybrid model,
by then it might be late for Virat Kohli or Rohit Sharma.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there'll be some other stars, but not these two. I mean, people of Pakistan want to see them. They want to play here. But the government, their government, not ours, theirs, it's not just ready. And also, you know, they do have this habit, and I've been saying this on various cricket shows last 6 months, that please, from day one when this tournament was announced, they were never going to come here. They, you know, they just like you to follow this trakki batti, and they want you to keep guessing till the end. But you know, people like us who've been involved in cricket, in this profession from 3 decades almost, I knew from day one. Personally, I'll speak of myself. I knew if someone asked me a question on any show, if India is going to come, I said no. Write it on a stamp paper. I'll give it to you. Because under this government, it's a very harsh reality.
But that's very sad, Leena. That's a very sad state of affairs. Anyways, Ali, coming to you. 8 teams, 2 groups, A and B. First match to be played the day after tomorrow, then of course is the second one. Each team is going to face the other at least once in the group stage, and then the top 2 teams from each group will qualify for the semi-finals. Which team are you vouching for? Is there a clear favourite as far as this tournament is concerned?
Look, if you're talking about all 8 teams, like Leena said, this is the creme de la creme of cricket. They've actually qualified on rankings, on, you know, how they did in the 2023 ICC Cricket World Cup in India too, and how their rankings have happened. And if you look at about that, then the top 8 teams have qualified. Pakistan obviously also have qualified on the basis of being hosts also. You know, they've done well, and then obviously they're hosts too. But if you look at all the 8 teams, if you dissect them, if you actually cut them through, then you have to say that if there's one team which actually stands out, it has to be India. And the reason why I say India is actually favorites is because they've done very well in this, in a white ball format, and even in red ball format. For the white ball format, they are the T20 world champions. They won obviously in the West Indies last year. ICC Cricket World Cup in 2023, they won all their matches. They went on to lose in the final against Australia. So they have that proven track record, and they've done well in these conditions too. Subcontinent conditions, they actually made the final too. And for that reason, they have that experience going into this. You're talking about a team which actually going into this tournament actually completely demolished England, in a home series over there in 3 ODIs and 4 T20s. They won 3 matches. But look, they are in great form over there. And the reason why I say that is because they've got strength and depth in their squad too. They've actually got players, their main player, the best player in the world right now, Jasprit Bumrah, is not actually playing too. That an analyst said, one of their analysts said that reduces their chances by 30-35%. But still, they've got so much strength and depth that they actually cover all those bases. So I think India is clear favorites. But if you talk about other teams which are favorites, then obviously the hosts, Pakistan, are favorites too. They love this tournament. They've done well. They are the defending champions. They're playing in home conditions too. They've had some time to actually settle their squad. They've played obviously a Tri-Nations tournament in which they were runners up in the final too. And then at the same time too, they're playing in home conditions. First time in 29 years, last time in 1996 when they actually played. So I think they're going to bask the occasion too. They're going to probably enjoy. But other than Pakistan, who are obviously we hope they're going to do well. I think two teams to watch out for. One is New Zealand. Pakistan have to be very careful because while India is favorite from that group, New Zealand is a team which has beaten Pakistan twice right now. Pakistan, hopefully third time lucky, they need to beat them and so that they can progress. And one dangerous team, and one I'd say is the dark horses, is Afghanistan.
Yes.
Afghanistan is one team which people are not looking at, and they've done well in the ICC. And in these conditions with their 4 spinners, I think they're one team which will upset the apple cart, and in the other group, they will qualify for the semi-finals.
All right, Leena, looking at the timing of this Champions Trophy that begins after a huge hiatus as far as Pakistan is concerned. Of course, the preparations are in full swing, are completed. But as an analyst, how important is this event for Pakistan as a host nation? Will it not open or pave the way for more such tournaments in the future if things go perfectly well, as is estimated by everybody here? Secondly, I'd like to understand the perspective of the Pakistani team from your end. Mohammad Rizwan, who's the captain, he's a stumper batter like Sarfaraz. Do you feel he could guide Pakistan in this battle against the other 7s and emerge a winner? Do you feel the choice for the Pakistani team is apt? What are the fortes that they can take advantage of? So there are 2 questions mixed into one.
Yeah, so I'll start with Rizwan because I think Rizwan is an excellent captain. I think he's got a good cricketing acumen. He should have been captain last 3-4 years. We experimented with Babar Azam. He was a non-leader. There's no, I will make no bones about it. And because and I say this with logic, because he never captained even a state side, his own state side, Lahore, nothing. He never captained, he wasn't, and not just Pakistan, but lots of other countries make the same mistake. They choose their best batsman and say, okay, we'll captain him. Like England, named Joe Root the captain, he wasn't a captain. There was no leadership quality in him. Similarly, Babar didn't have the qualities, so we made a mistake. Okay, now that mistake is corrected and Rizwan is the captain. He's a very sharp cricket brain. He's behind the stumps, like you said, he's a stumper. So he's looking at the whole field. He can look here, talk to people, and he's a very good communicator, and he's very shrewd person. Now, whether Pakistan will win under him or not, that is another, I can't say it. Maybe Nostradamus can, maybe he'll have difficulties. True. But we've got a good leader. All we've got to do is make some good, solid decisions. the Tri-Nation that just finished, I thought Pakistan should have played, 1 or 2 of the Chinaman spinners and Faisal Akram or the other one.
Sufyan Mukim.
Yeah, so we should have played him instead of Abrar. We could have been brave with even Sajid Khan and asked him to bat number 7 instead of Fahim Ashraf, which I saw no reason. So I do see selection problems, but maybe they'll be corrected. I don't know, because in Pakistan anything can happen. The tournament is in 2 days, but maybe someone will get a fake injury and someone will come and
I hope not. Let's not
replace him. But I do see selection problems. But as a captain, I see a good, shrewd captain, and that is why I see Pakistan in the top 4. And the other question you had about Pakistan.
Importance of this tournament as far as Pakistan is concerned and the future of sports events, especially cricket in Pakistan.
Absolutely. I mean, the last 6-7 years, all the top teams have toured Pakistan, and not just small 2 matches or something, but full-fledged tours, 3 test matches, 5 one days, 3 T20s, or vice versa. So the teams have been coming. They have been comfortable in Pakistan. They have enjoyed their time in Pakistan. They finished test series. There have no untowardly incident. So everything was done well. Everything, whichever cricket board was in charge, they did well to look after the team. So every other team has come except India. That is something we can't do anything about. We already discussed it, that under this Indian regime it probably wouldn't come. Something changes, then we hope, inshallah. But other than that, teams have been doing well. And this particular tournament, because it's an ICC event, lots of eyes are on Pakistan. The whole world is looking at Pakistan. And I'll tell you what is very interesting. I get calls from non-cricketing countries to be the analyst for one program, because it's the Champions Trophy, is such a big event, and countries like Turkey don't even play cricket, but they're still interested in the event. So it is a very, very important event, not just cricket wise, but even it will open a lot of other corridors, we hope, if it goes well, inshallah, and we really hope it does. The eyeballs, the whole world is watching. And then, if it goes well, there are other avenues like business, finance, all these avenues can open. So this is a very important tournament, and hopefully, inshallah, it'll go well.
All right. Ali, you talked about the local pitches. You said that the teams are ready for the local pitches and they know what the local pitches are. Or was it Tina that was saying that? 4 venues as far as this tournament is concerned: Lahore, Karachi and Dubai. India are going to play, of course, all of their games in Dubai, as is the hybrid model. Final match is slated to be played in Lahore or Dubai if India qualify for the finals. How are these 4 pitches in your point of view, and which team could take advantage of these pitches?
Look, if you look at these 4 pitches, obviously Rawalpindi Cricket Stadium, Gaddafi, National Bank Arena in Karachi, and then Dubai Stadium, which is actually taking place. I want to actually start off with the neutral venue, and that is Dubai. I think it's going to be tailor-made for India, for that matter, and the reason is because India is playing all their matches. So if you look at India's strength and depth over there, then I think the Dubai is going to be a spinning wicket over there. It's going to be a spinner's paradise. Why? Because India have a lot of spinners over there. They have Akshar Patel over here. They have Ravindra Jadeja. They have Chakravarti over there. So I think that's mainly going to favor them, so be a spinning wicket, and probably off. If you talk about the other wickets, obviously now that the stadiums have been handed over to ICC, I actually see a run feast, especially at all the wickets. Talking about Karachi, we saw a big total being chased. It's going to be a run feast over there. Lahore is also there. Pindi will have to see, but if you're talking about all these wickets, I think there's not going to be much assistance for the faster bowlers. Maybe there's some turn, but you're going to see some very high scoring games over there.
All right, Leena, would you like to add to that as far as pitches are concerned?
Yeah, I agree with Ali, because the wickets in Pakistan are pretty. Even in PSL, the Pindi wicket has a lot of runs in it. You often see 200 runs being scored in a T20 match. So I agree with him. I mean, for more eyeballs and more, because this is a limited over edition, they would want more runs, more boundaries, more sixers. And like Ali is saying, maybe the Dubai pitch will spin a lot. But then, I feel all the other pitches, especially Pakistan pitches, unless you use those big industrial fans, like for the test match or something, to sort of doctor the pitch, I don't see bowlers doing well. The really very, very express bowlers with their Yorkers who don't use the pitch so much but do everything in the air, they might get a lot of the 140, 145 bowlers will get help with their Yorkers and their speed. Other than that, I see a lot of runs being scored, or maybe some help for the spinners.
Leena, what I'd like to understand, of course, it's a very important tournament for Pakistan. It's a very important tournament for all the teams concerned, for Pakistan as host, for all the other countries, including India, and of course, Afghanistan and New Zealand and Australia and England and the other teams as well. But what kind of game is it? Is it a game of technique? Is it a game of nerves? Who what are the qualities that will make a side come to the final and maybe win it? Will it be an excellent technique? Will it be excellent nerves? Sitting and facing whatever danger you are encountering on the field. What's your take?
Look, first of all, it's on the day who takes the pressure well. It's a very, cricket is played so much in the mind. Secondly, we have to understand this is ODI. This is not T20. So ODIs are fixed right between T20s and test matches. So we have to understand, a batsman has 300 balls. There is ample time to get settled and score runs. You can take 7, 8, 10 balls to get settled, unlike the T20 where you don't have time. So you can take some time. Players like Babar Azam and Salman Ali Agha and Rizwan, who take a little bit of time and then sort of, and Saeed, Shakil, those kind of players, Virat Kohli, they will have time because they understand it's a 300 ball game. It is not a T20. So they can take some time, get settled, but I still feel what we saw during that victory where Pakistan chased 350 runs, we saw that the Pakistan team used the power play well. You can, as a batsman, take some deliveries to get settled, but in your mind you have to know that you have to use the power play well. So there are a lot of little intricate things that you got to monitor the pressure, to realize it's a 50 over game, not a 20 over game, then also to understand that the power play has to be used well. All these things are very, cricket, I feel, is the most critically intricate game in the world. I mean, other than chess, I think it's all played in the mind. You decide on a day that you got to show intent. Even if you're out of form, you go and hit that cover drive, you go after the bowler, you get 120 strike rate, 100 in a one day. And if you're anyone, Virat Kohli or Babar Azam, you're not in good form, you might just end up getting a 20 on 40 balls. So it's all played in the mind.
All right. So are the players in form in your point of view? All the 8 teams, are they in form? Because we said in the very beginning that they were, but what's your take on that? I want a short answer because we are about to finish this segment.
Well, if you talk about majority of the teams, what the teams which are available, the players which are available, yes, they are in form because they've been selected on merit basis. Obviously, you can talk about selection for Pakistan. I think that we could have done better with that. But majority of these players are in form, and I think you're going to see really high quality cricket, high intensity cricket, and you're going to find the best players performing well in all the best stadiums.
All right, all the very best to Pakistan, all the very best to all the other teams as well, as far as this very important Champions Trophy cricket tournament is concerned. That begins the day after tomorrow. Leena will be hearing a lot from you, and Ali will be hearing a lot from you as well, as far as how it happens, what were the good points and what were the bad points. Let's hope, as you said, Pakistan reaches the top 4, and then we'll go from there. We have to go to a short break. We'll be back right after. And thank you, Leena and Ali, to have joined us. Welcome back. Our second story concerns climate change in Pakistan. Whether it be the floods, whether it be the possibility of a drought-like situation in 2025, a lot of uncertainties exist for Pakistan as far as climate change and environment is concerned. The fact is also that Pakistan is one of the one of the 5 most vulnerable countries because of the effects of climate change. Nevertheless, at the COPs, nothing tangible has happened as far as helping Pakistan is concerned. A lot of pledges were made, but those pledges never translated into action. And now, of course, with the US coming out of the Paris Agreement and a lot of other countries also skeptical about it, what is Pakistan's future? Should we look at ingrown or local solutions as far as our problems are concerned concerning climate change, like what Pindi is doing as far as water scarcity is concerned? They are putting fines on those who use water excessively, specifically when it comes to cleaning cars. That and more will be discussed in this segment. We've been joined by 2 guests. Let me introduce them to you one by one. In the studios, we've been joined by Waqar Sherazi, who's a climate expert, and we'll also be joined by Ahmad Rafay, who's a climate change expert online. Oh, Rafay is there. Rafay, good to see you. Let's begin with you, Waqar. Climate changes rapidly. Change results in a lot of risks, vulnerable situation for countries, and Pakistan is one of the most vulnerable countries as far as this is concerned. I'd like to begin with the 6th assessment report that came in this month of the IPCC that finds that because of human activity, global temperatures have increased by 1.1 degrees Celsius as compared to temperatures in the pre-industrial era. They also say that it could exceed 1.5 degrees Celsius within the next 20 years, if not sooner. What are the risks for countries, specifically for Pakistan?
Well, many thanks indeed, Omar, for having me on the show again. And time and again, we have been saying that the climate change, what actually the climate change is global temperature increase. And that is again due to human intervention and human activity on the globe. Because of the greenhouse gas emissions, because of the enhanced demand for the production, because of the enhanced thirst for the development of the countries, the climate subject has been compromised globally. Let me share that the most developed countries on the face of the earth, they are responsible for major chunk of the greenhouse gas emissions in the globe, which is actually the reason for temperature increase on the globe. And that is why that we compare the temperature increase, the average temperature increase with the pre-industrial level, because it is post-industrial impact that is because of the industrial intervention on this natural climate. Now, it was recorded that the year 2024 was the hottest year on the globe, and the temperature increase which were agreed in the Paris Agreement by the United Nations, that the world will try to retain the temperature, average temperature increase only 1.5 degree above the pre-industrial level, or even if goes to 2 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial level, it would be fine. For the year 2024, it was 1.1 degree increase than the pre-industrial level, but the world has already seen the climate-induced calamities. There were intense heat waves, there were droughts, there were less rainfalls, there were cloud bursts, there were rivers spilling over and affecting the inhabited areas. There is again a challenge of shrinking agriculture, while there has been an ironic challenge of increasing population and increased demand for.
Seasons are also changing. Coming to Islamabad, how much of rain have we seen in the last few months?
In last 3 months, I think we have received almost nothing in Islamabad. And this has been, to my observation, this has been the worst drought so far in the history of Islamabad, as I have observed in last 2 decades.
All right.
I think that the human intervention are now affecting again the human population itself. But the alarming thing is that the vulnerable groups, including the poor and including those who are living in close to the nature, they are affected the most.
All right, that is a very important question. That is what I'm going to ask Rafay. Rafay, you know, Pakistan, an agricultural country, is being affected. We all know that it's amongst the most vulnerable countries, but now with the effects of climate change becoming more and more apparent, we are seeing effects on crop production, we're seeing effect on livestock production, on fish production, that are also all linked to this highly sensitive temperature changes as well. In your point of view, looking at the different issues that Pakistan is facing vis-a-vis climate change, can it take measures on its own? Do we have to look inwards locally, or will we be needing global help in the days to come?
Well, first of all, Omar, thank you very much for having me on the show. Pakistan has a national policy on climate change, and as of last year, all 4 provinces also have their provincial policies and action plans on climate change. And if you read these, they're a laundry list of things to do, both for adaptation to prepare for the impacts of climate change and mitigation to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. A very long list. We know, for instance, climate change is going to impact agriculture and agricultural output. We have to prepare and be more resilient to heat. We need to have farming that is less water intensive. We need to make preparations on the other side of drought, of flooding as well, to protect our irrigation systems and our cities from being inundated with water. None of this, if you go through all the adaptation steps, irrigation is just one. There's forestry, there's livestock, there's all sorts of things. But if you go through this, this is neither cheap nor something that can be done overnight. And the costs of adaptation and mitigation in Pakistan run into the hundreds of billions of dollars, speaking up till 2030 or 2050. Money that Pakistan frankly doesn't have. And so, yes, at one level, international finance and the promises and commitment of international finance, not loans but grants, that is part and parcel of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change and mandatory on developed countries. That finance is essential for Pakistan. Now, Pakistan shouldn't take that for granted because at the same time, many of Pakistan's climate problems could be immediately resolved with some good governance. Things like enforcing laws of where settlements can occupy river beds or floodplains, regulations about energy efficiency need to be implemented. There's a whole host of things you can do.
Okay, there's a whole host of things. We'll come back to our conversation, but we have to take a short break. And we'll take our conversation right back to Rafay. Rafay, yes, you were saying.
But I was saying that Pakistan mustn't just look at international finance as well. Many of Pakistan's climate problems can be resolved with good governance in places like irrigation, in agriculture, in transport. And so we must also put our own house in order. It's not entirely about international finance, although that is crucial and morally justified. We can't use that as an excuse to have poor governance to implement the many policies that we have to make ourselves more climate resilient. Thank you.
All right, that's a very interesting take on it. For the vulnerable community in Pakistan, Waqar, this interaction can reinforce and perpetuate conditions of poverty and marginalization. And that is what is fear within certain communities in Pakistan and other developing countries as well. Exposure to climate-related events, which have important psychological effects, and the economic capacity that is going to be affected by the effects of climate change. And of course, these effects that are affected or influenced by resources and services that could or could not be available to people, that could lead to mitigation of income losses or not. How can we move around this in Pakistan, for example?
Well, why we call the marginalized communities as marginalized? Because they are more vulnerable and they are more exposed to the climate. They are more less resilient towards any economic shocks or any climate shocks. This is actually under the domain of climate adaptation that Pakistan, as my colleague said, not in terms of only mitigation, but in terms of climate adaptation. Pakistan can do a little, Pakistan can do more with little interventions of governance improvements, like raising awareness among the masses is the foremost area where we can achieve larger impact with a little intervention. We can equip the people with the information that how they can adapt to the climate change with regards to growing their crops, how they can adopt with the climate change with regards to heat waves, with regards to droughts, and with regards to other events. But not only in terms of raising awareness, but in terms of creating some of the infrastructure, like as my colleague said, that within the river belts, we can restrain people to use the river beds as cultivation fields. But on the other hand, we are having a growing population with an exponential growth rate, which requires more food production, and which makes our farmer to take the advantage of river beds and throwing them into a vulnerability. So I think with the short-term solutions, we'll have to look for a long-term solution as well, which is the population control. Because the more population means more requirement of fresh water, more population means consumption of fresh water and transforming the fresh water into used unclean water, burden on the food infrastructure, more requirement for the livestock, which again contributes into the greenhouse gas emissions through methane emission, and more production requirements, which certainly means the increased emission of greenhouse gases. I think curtailing the population in Pakistan is the largest solution or largest activity we can done, but it can help us in long term.
All right.
And we have also the short-term solutions together.
All right, all right. Rafay, water scarcity is slowly and steadily becoming a serious concern as far as Pakistan is concerned. There are certain measures that have been taken, like for example in Rawalpindi, Wasa has imposed a 10,000 rupee fine on those who, on those civilians who violate the orders as far as water wastage is concerned, specifically when it comes to cleaning cars and stuff like that. Also talk of recycling the water that is used for cleaning your cars and other stuff as well. Because of course the Met Department is predicting scanty rains. We haven't had real rains this winter as well. What could be done in your point of view to prevent a serious water problem from happening in Pakistan?
Unfortunately, we are in a water crisis. But water scarcity manifests itself in many different ways in Pakistan. As, for example, temperatures rise unseasonably early this year, farmers will need more water to put on their crops to prevent them from burning. And we don't have that snow melt in our rivers and canal systems right now. That usually comes in April. So there's going to be a shortage that way. The water shortage you speak of in Rawalpindi has to do with the fact that Pindi gets a lot of its water from storages and also from groundwater. But at the same time, the population of the city has multiplied since partition, when it was a small cantonment. And you have to consider that most of the water in large homes is consumed in these fancy gardens or in washing automobiles. So water scarcity is prevalent at all scales, and there are very different ways of approaching it. We need to have improved water efficiency in agriculture, and really all of Pakistan's cities must have very strict controls on how water is consumed, and we must prevent people from having these water guzzling lawns and for washing their cars in drinking water. And there should be hard fines and penalties like the rest of the world, which is facing similar water crisis in cities.
Important. I'll continue the same conversation with Waqar. Waqar, the MD Wasa says that the city's daily demand for water is 68 million gallons, while the available water is only 51 million gallons per day. Also, the groundwater that a lot of people use to pump up water has gone down by 700 feet, which is huge. They say cases will be registered for unnecessary use of water, and 2 citizens have already been challaned for wasting water. How can proper measures be applied? Because it can be, these are applied in 1-2 cases, but how can we universally apply such measures in order for them to be properly applicable?
Well, unfortunately, Omar, we most of the time it has been observed in Pakistan, and it has been a general trend in masses nowadays, that we have a habit of throwing everything towards the government bodies. And we always blame that the government need to do some of the policy work and some of the implementation work. But with regards to individual role in as an agent of protecting the climate change, I think we all are compromised. It was previously recorded in Pakistan. 2 weeks earlier, there was a conference in Islamabad, and it was shared on the floor that there is only 4% awareness amongst the masses about the climate change. While I refer the 4%, it means that only 4% of the masses are aware what actually climate change is and how can it affect our lives and the overall collective society in Pakistan. So on this juncture, we lack the individual behavior. So I think to improve the individual behavior, again, we have to raise the awareness amongst the masses that these natural resources are yours, but these are shared by rest of the community, and you have a civic sense, you must have a civic sense of responsibility, a joint sense of responsibility, that being a social animal, you have to share the burden of resources and you have to play your role. While on the other hand, despite that awareness, we also know that not all of the masses are abiding in terms of laws and in terms of
and that is
social
why
ethics.
there needs to be proper applicability of these laws.
Yes, and on this juncture, you have to develop check and balances. I think with this regard, Government of Punjab is doing well, and we must all appreciate that washing cars within the households, using extra water, wasting water, the drinkable water and the groundwater has been prohibited.
And also groundwater, using it for commercial sites also has been...
I think that Rawalpindi and Islamabad are also facing the greater influx from rest of the areas of Pakistan because people love to migrate here. But what I have observed on the service stations, that the cars are even washed with the clean water. I think in this regard we'll have to make a policy and we'll have to implement that the car service stations will have to look for their own resources for recyclable water.
Agree. Last question to you, Rafay. We're a bit short of time, but I'd like a concise answer from you on that. Glaciers melting, effects of GLOF, and residents from different areas, like for example Chitral, have been made to flee the areas. They say there is fear when they see glaciers. At the same time, our Prime Minister says artificial lakes formed by melting glaciers pose serious risks of flood. When you look at all the different conditions that Pakistan is facing vis-a-vis climate change and the lack of proper international funding coming our way, what kind of innovative measures could we take, in your point of view, to contain the worst effects of climate change?
I don't think they're innovative measures we need to take. They're very simple, common sense measures. Don't pollute, for one. For example, especially in the environmentally sensitive areas of our northern areas where all these glaciers exist. You know, I think we need to control things like automobile emissions. I think we need to control things like water pollution, both of which, by the way, are exacerbated by the tourism influx in those areas, because you have these polluting cars and then people living in hotels that discharge detergents into water bodies. I think if we want to protect our ecosystems, we need to take very practical, very common sense approach to protecting the environment and not polluting.
Thank you very much, Rafay. That was Ahmad Rafay Alam, climate change expert, joining us online as well as in the studios. We've had Waqar Sherazi, who's a climate expert as well, to have joined us. Thank you to both my guests. Let me come to the last stories very quickly. The first concerns US President Donald Trump, whose aid freeze, specifically concerning US aid, could cause millions of deaths. This has been said by the United Nations. And the number of deaths could be mostly caused by HIV or AIDS, because there are different preventive measures that are being taken by the UNAIDS, and there are different methodologies that were in process across the world, specifically in Africa as well, that now have been stopped. And as a result, millions of people could be more susceptible, although it is being said that the US is not curtailing the medicines as far as HIV is concerned. Nevertheless, a lot of other such practical steps to stop HIV from happening or to help those in need are now being stopped because of the stoppage of aid. And the basic continent, the major continent that is going to be affected by it is Africa. Will Donald Trump realize the importance of this and maybe make some amendments as far as this is concerned? That only time will tell. Next, the Global Tourism Resilience Day is being observed today across the world. Established by the UN General Assembly in Resolution ARES 77269, this day is more than a celebration. It is a global commitment to strengthening tourism against future shocks. It calls on nations to not only develop strategies for post-crisis recovery, foster public-private collaborations, and diversify tourism offerings to reduce dependency on any single source of revenue. Sustainability is the keyword when it comes to tourism, and sustainable tourism is something that all the countries need to follow, including Pakistan. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, BAFTA awards were held late last night in the United Kingdom. Two major films came out winners, Conclave and The Brutalist. Both got 4 awards. Conclave, Best Film, Outstanding British Film, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Editing, while The Brutalist got Best Director, Best Actor, and also Original Score and Cinematography. But the surprise of the night was Mickey Madison, who got the award for the leading actress in Anora, and that was a surprise because everybody thought it was Demi Moore who's going to get it for The Substance. But this was a very a change that we saw. Emilia Perez, another film that mixes crime and musical genres, also got the best award in the non-English film category, Best Supporting Actress. And of course, in the best supporting actor category, A Real Pain also was the winner with Kieran Culkin, who won it. Also the best original screenplay for writer-director Jesse Eisenberg, also for the same film. So it was a night of stars, it was a night of glamour, and a night of many, many wins, specifically for The Conclave and The Brutalist. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we come to an end of today's newsroom. We'll see you inshallah tomorrow with new stories that must pertain to us, you in Pakistan. Stay safe, Allah Hafiz.